Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling page. Today we're going to be doing something I don't do very often in my journals, but we're going to be redoing a page that I really didn't like in my journal. So this is a page I had, and it's been in my journal for nearly 2 years now, and I hated it. I was trying to do abstract flowers, they just didn't work for me, and I just thought, no, I'm just going to do something with it. So I didn't really have a plan other than I wanted to cover it up. So I went for my darker blue colours, because blues do tend to be my favourite colours. Started off with night, and I think I mixed in a little bit of mineral, possibly, and then I'm going in with some more mineral with this Bond stencil over the top. So I didn't really have a plan of attack, just so much as it was to cover up what was there before, and you can kind of see it peeking through, but that was okay. I did, however, want to try this technique, which was inspired by Claire Stead, Journal Love. She's a British artist or English artist who does amazing stuff, and she was using this hexagon stencil as a repeating stencil, and I really liked the idea, so I just wanted to play with it, and I figured it was a good way to sort of cover a fair amount of my journal in one page, so why not try it in here? And I decided to do it with shades of blue. So I did the first stenciling in the lapis, and then I shifted the stencil to one side and put in some of the marine, and then I'm going in with some turquoise to fill in the gaps. And you can kind of see it creates a tessellated pattern. There's not regular, I've mixed up some of the patterns, but it sort of just gives you that little effect across the page. So then I decided I wanted to play around, and I put a little bit of white stenciling around the outside of the darker blue. Did I call them rectangles before? Hexagons. Around the hexagons, just to give a little bit of interest onto the page. And again, I probably should have been a little bit more random with what I did. It ended up being a little bit uniform, which I wasn't particularly a fan of, but that's what it was. So because I'd lost that lovely stencil in the background, the Bonds one, I wanted to put that back in again a little bit. And I decided that I would go in with some of these dots, which is one of my favourite parts of this stencil. While I love mark making a lot, sometimes it's just really easy if it's there for you and you can just stencil through it, especially if you've already got paint on your desk, that you can just go for it. So as you can see from how I'm sitting here at the moment, I had a lot on my mind as I was doing this, so I thought I'd just write, and I honestly can't remember what I was writing. I've got a feeling it was about what was bugging me about that page and why I wanted to redo it, and I ended up having a lot more to say, because I was actually only going to write above that little white bit at the top, or the blue bit at the top, but I ended up writing over the entire page. And yeah, it kind of changed it for me, because then I thought, oh, okay, you've covered up the pattern, so what are you going to do now? So since I covered up the pattern, I thought, well, why not just put more pattern down over the top? So I'm going in with this leaf stencil, or a mask, sorry, no stencil, I'll make up my mind one day, and putting in some of this detail. So you can see I'm just, I'm not cleaning my sponge, the colours are mixing as I'm going in, I'm just using up the paint that I've got on the side to create this page, and then I'm going back in with my white pen and just doing a little bit of a doodly line over the top, just to pull those shapes out from the background a little bit and make them look a little bit whimsical, I suppose, the patterns on it. So funnily enough, I still really didn't know what I was doing with this page. I kind of liked my background. I thought I'd probably made it too busy with the writing over the back, but it was just like, no, I just need to keep playing, so I kept playing. At this stage, it didn't really have a focal image to it, which I wanted to change, so I wanted to put some sort of focal image on it, and I decided to put in one of these faces from the Church Doodles collage tissue. So I'm just using my gel medium to glue it down. One thing I will say, I usually use a Posca paint pen. to write with or do all my doodling, because it's an acrylic paint and it dries permanent. In this page I was using a gel pen, which doesn't dry permanent, or certainly doesn't dry permanent in the amount of time I was using to do this page, because I do everything in one night. I don't let it sit overnight and dry. So it did smear a little bit underneath when I put the gel medium down, which annoyed me slightly. I then decided that I wanted to colour in my figure a little bit, so I did. So I used my Stabilo oil pencil to draw around the outlines, and then I wet them. And the Stabilo oil pencil is a really great pencil, but when you've got a lot on your page, it gets very, very inky very, very fast. So you can see me blotting off the extra. I then decided, because I like this face, but it is a funny shape. So it's always going to look a little bit wonky. I decided to try and even it up a little bit with some hair. I'm not sure how successful I was with that, but here we go. So I drew some extra lines in with my Stabilo oil pencil, and then with my white pen, you can see I've transferred back over to my Posca paint pen. And I did put the whites of the eyes in my figure, which I always tend to do because it sort of just draws that little bit of attention to your face. I've then put in a little bit of extra detail, just with some white lines to do a little bit of shading, again to kind of push it out from the background somewhat. So I was sitting there going, what have you done? Yeah, it is what it is. So I thought, well, I really don't like her hair, so I'm going to try and cover up her hair a little bit. So I thought if I could put a flower in her hair or something, that might work. So I used one of the flower shapes from that Growing Things stencil, and centered it on again with just some paint I had left over on my page. You can sort of see me going, oh, it's not quite right yet, don't know what I'm doing. So I went back to the collage tissues and found these ones from the alphabet set, which are sort of all like spray painted stencils, and I quite liked. There's a few different phrases: no surrender, never give up, you can. So I thought, I sort of put them down the page and I was like, I want to use all of these, but I wasn't sure how, so I decided that I would glue them down onto white card. Now the reason for this is I actually wanted them to be really stand out from the background. If I'd glued them straight down onto the page, obviously they would melt into the page. You'd still see them, but they certainly wouldn't be as focal as I wanted them to be. So I'm gluing them down onto white card, just using my gel medium to do that, and then tearing out around the edges because I wanted that sort of fuzzy effect like the outsides had from the excess spray paint. So because I was doing the 3, I decided I'd do the 5, and then because I did the 5, I decided I wanted to try and put them all on the page, because that's just how I go. I also decided I wanted to edge each of the pieces with some of my black ink, just to get that, again, fuzzy edge back. So as I was sort of doing this, I was thinking, oh, it kind of looks like signs. She's sort of in a garden and it's full of signs, and they're giving her all these messages of what she can do. So this is pretty much how my pages go. It's not until I get to the very end bit that I suddenly kind of go, oh, there is kind of a reason for this. There, you know, you're doing this for some reason or another. So because they kind of look like signs to me, I decided I wanted to put in little signposts. I did start off with some black ink, but it just wasn't quite doing what I wanted it to do. So I decided to actually get my paintbrush out and paint it on, and then just teed it up so it would dry. Now, if you didn't have ink, use your Posca paint pen or whatever you wanted to. Black paint would work just as well. I then decided I wanted just to write on her face, just to sort of finish it and tie it all together. So it's not perfect. It is not my favourite page in the world. I like it much better than that page. I know it's a lot darker, but I just like it better. I think I really like the background. I kind of wish I didn't put the face on it, but it is what it is. I do like the signs over it, and it doesn't bug me anymore. I don't flip through my journal looking at it going, I really hate that page. So that's a bonus. So as I said at the beginning, I rarely redo a page in my journal. I think I've done 3 in the 5 years I've been journaling. So I just wanted to document the process for you so you could see, you know, you're not stuck with something in your journal. If you really hate it, just paint over it. It's not going to hurt anyone. No one knows about it, and you will probably be happier with the outcome in the end. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.